Welcome to the Building Web3 Podcast. I have my good friend Alex. He is the co-founder of Dimo. Before we get too deep into Dimo, tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you get into this wonderful world of Web3?
I've been a person at startups my entire career. So, it's now over a decade in tech startups, working with even companies outside of the tech space. But I spent a good chunk of my career working in the IoT space, in telecom actually, and in particular building infrastructure to connect remote sites and actually better monitor and manage telecom sites remotely. So I was kind of exposed to a lot of the ideas of IoT early on. I had been exposed to Bitcoin pretty early as well. Didn't really dabble, but I knew people who used it or traded it. And then Ethereum, and learning about smart contracts in 2016, 2017, and thinking, holy shit, this is a huge upgrade to what Bitcoin is. By the way, still a big Bitcoin fan, but huge upgrade, and we can use this in the IoT world. And from there, it was just down the crypto rabbit hole. So I ended up joining the industry in 2018. I worked at Chainalysis for a number of years, working on the private sector, working with exchanges and protocols. Got down the Helium rabbit hole when Helium started to have its moment early on. And from there, have just become, of course, deeper and deeper in the space. So when I went and co-founded Dimo.
Absolutely. For people that are unfamiliar, give them a brief background on what is Dimo? What are you guys trying to accomplish?
Yeah. We are building a decentralized connected car platform. And the reality is we'll be able to expand beyond cars to other types of robots and devices. But cars are the most expensive IoT device that most people own. And they are a device. You can think about a car as either a smartphone on wheels or a data center on wheels. Those are two analogies that are thrown around. And what we're building is neutral and open source infrastructure that allows software developers to more easily build apps for cars. To illustrate that, really kind of like high level problem, most people have probably experienced today some app for their car. If you bought a new Ford or Toyota in the last 5 to 7 years, or really any car, they give you an app. And the vast majority of us have used those automaker made apps and found those experiences to be very lackluster. A lot of people you speak with say, I barely even use my app. Tesla's the exception, but this is the case across almost every automaker. We believe the reason for that is that all of these automakers are trying to build the apps in-house, every single feature by themselves. The reason your iPhone or your Android, the reason your phone in general has become such a magical place for digital experiences is not because Apple built 1,000 great apps or Google built 1,000 great apps. Really, they built a lot of the utilities, and they opened up their app stores for other developers to build the social experiences and the games and the trading apps and the whatever dating apps, whatever it is you use. Those came from third party. We believe the same is going to be true of the auto space, and people can build all kinds of apps for these really complex machines. And what's necessary is open third party infrastructure that enables that.
And talk to us a little bit about this third party infrastructure. So who is building in this area?
Yeah. So when we started Dimo and we kind of clarified this vision of creating an app layer and an infrastructure layer for cars, we set to work on building two products. One is that infrastructure itself and what we often refer to as the Dimo protocol. And we also started building the first app on Dimo. We said, well, there's no better way to illustrate what you can build than by dogfooding the platform yourself and building your own app. So we built the Dimo mobile app. In the Dimo mobile app, you can connect your car to Dimo. It's really easy. Many people can just download the app and get started right away with a software connection. Others can buy a hardware device, get connected. But you connect your car, it doesn't matter what kind of car you have, and you can see a whole bunch of data about your car, your tire pressure, your fuel level, your engine load, a whole bunch of information that helps you better manage your car. And even cooler, you can actually share that data with our network of partners so that you can get better access to services. So you can book maintenance. You can share your data with a maintenance provider and book something without having to have your, car examined. You can more easily share your data with a website to go and sell your car. Pretty soon we'll have AI experiences that are consuming your vehicle data and giving you AI agents to interact with, trained on your data. These are developers from all across the auto industry, from small businesses and startups to actually some large enterprises that are starting to build on platform. And pretty soon, we won't have the only way to connect to Dimo. It won't just be the Dimo mobile app, but there'll be half a dozen and then a dozen and then more applications where you can start your Dimo journey. Very similar to what you see throughout the rest of the Web3 world, where it doesn't really matter if you start in MetaMask or Rainbow or on Coinbase. You're really just getting your journey started there, and then going and accessing a world of applications.
Yeah, talk us through some of the key features, because we have this ability to monitor our car. There's also these service providers. But I remember reading, and maybe I was mistaken about this, about like vehicle NFTs, trip NFTs, kind of some interesting things that you guys are doing with the platform. So walk us through some of these.
And that comes down to a lot of the reason of like, why did we choose to build this on a blockchain at all? Like, where does that technology fit in? And as we were working on the ideas around Dimo and some of these concepts and the idea of a third-party developer platform, there are a couple of core principles that we felt were really important to how we were going to build the product. One is driver privacy and data ownership is a really, really critical piece of how we have thought about the architecture of Dimo. The last thing we want is to enable, thousands of developers around the world to just have access to like your data as a free-flowing commodity. What we want is users to be in control of their data and to be able to say, hey, I want to share these specific data points with my maintenance provider so that they can diagnose something. Or I want to share my trip data with a company that's going to build an experience around quests or badges and where I'm driving. What we felt is that the blockchain offered not only some very open infrastructure that allowed us to like really build a credibly neutral platform, but it also provides this combination of transparency and auditability, as well as privacy, that allows us to build really important pieces like a complex permission infrastructure, so that you can always be in control of your data and you can actually audit and see what other applications have access to your data. It's very similar to how, with a wallet, you can always check and see what other dApps are you connected to. We think the same should be true of your car and your car data. The car as an NFT is a really interesting concept. Our NFT, of course, this vehicle ID, is constantly updating. The data itself is not stored on the NFT. There's far too much data to put on a blockchain. But of course, NFT as a primitive for identity is, it's not something that I invented at Dimo, but it's something that we really adapted for thinking about devices, and in particular, in this case, to start.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about some of the differences between centralized services and why this is important, because somebody tomorrow in Web2 land could likely clone a lot of this. Talk to us a little bit about like kind of the differentiating factor and why this decentralized approach.
There's a couple of things. A lot of this comes down to kind of just core tenets and philosophy about the internet and about digital space. If you believe that the internet is better decentralized, and you think, well, that the internet's better decentralized because it means that things can't get taken down, you as a user can't get blocked or locked out of certain systems, it's more resilient, there's better mechanisms to reward individual contributors, becomes more fair and more equitable. Like all of these things that we talk about for the internet as a whole, like they should apply to the most bandwidth intensive device in your life, which is your car. Cars use almost 100 times more bandwidth, modern cars it is, than your phone. And that's because they're becoming completely software defined. So we believe these same principles of like openness and kind of user governance need to apply to any infrastructure that supports connected vehicles, because ultimately these are part of the internet and in a very important part of our internet experience as well. We expect to see over the next decade, you'll probably see some automakers like they've already started to like really screw up software updates, whether it's bricking the infotainment system or temporarily getting people locked out of their cars. We've seen these examples in the past, and that's where we think that better infrastructure that allows users to, let's say, choose a different virtual key technology that they want to use, or maybe even one day pick different software that they want to run on their car. Those are the kinds of things that are going to give people more choice, more freedom, and ultimately build a more resilient system.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the exciting mobility applications you see currently and some of the ones that you could foresee being built, like maybe a good opportunity if there's some builders in the audience.
Yeah. I think that, one of the things that we're thinking a lot about is how, and this has been a subject in the auto space for a long time, but how does vehicle ownership change in the future, particularly around EVs, but autonomous vehicles as well. We at Dimo can enable all kinds of new ownership models. One example app I put on Twitter the other day is, you could imagine if you shared a car with a friend or a group of friends. With Dimo, you could build a really easy way to calculate an equitable share of maintenance based on who's driving how much. All the data would be there. All you need to do is a way to append, who drove it for each trip. And, the data itself would show how many miles was on that trip. Was it an intense trip down a dirt road to cause more damage? You can get really complicated with it if you wanted to. But somebody could build a car sharing and equitable maintenance very, very easily. We talk, of course, sometimes it comes up often, the idea of a decentralized Uber. There's, of course, Teleport is out there. I think there are other teams that are working on this problem. And at Dimo, we would support a lot of the vehicle verification aspects of that. Obviously, you want to know that the vehicle is insured. You want to be able to prove the vehicle went point A to point B. There's really any kind of mobility application that needs to use some kind of verified data could tap into Dimo for some aspects of that. I'm really excited about a lot of AI applications. I think those are going to be the types of things that really transform the consumer experience when it comes to owning their vehicle.
Yeah, let's actually walk through this. We used to like to do this walkthrough at BlackRock. We call it the life of a transaction. So let's say we did want to build the splitwise, essentially, for equitable maintenance of the car. Talk us through how a developer would, get started, how they use Dimo. Is there just some simple SDK where they can hook into the car data?
Yeah, exactly. So you could use the Dimo SDK and drop the ability to connect a car into your app. Let's call it car share. Why not? You'd have two options using the Dimo SDK. Both would be available once you deploy it. One is you could market to existing Dimo users. So anyone with an existing Dimo car could show up to car share, click a button, and all of the history of that car's data, or really as much as the user would want, could show up in the car share app. So you could think of it as importing your car history right there. You could also have car share allow users to connect the car right in that app. So maybe car share is the point of acquisition for a user. Jax, you decide, hey, I'm signing up for car share. My friends and I are going to connect our car, and then we'll start sharing the expenses. Once you have the connected car, we have an API for trips. You pull in the data from each trip, and the simplest step would be assign a driver to each trip. Jax drove this one, Alex drove the next one. Really just go down the list and assign the trips out. And then it would be very easy. You'd have to build a model and decide how complex you want to make it in terms of, do you go based on mileage? Do you go based on gas consumption? Do you want to actually even try to measure the cumulative effect on oil life or tire pressure or battery degradation? I mean, you could build some pretty advanced models from the data if you really wanted to. And from there, it's just a matter of put a price on all those things. Put a price on the maintenance, put a price on the gas consumption and all that stuff. And, there you have it.
Absolutely. And before we get to our next question, I have to thank our sponsor. So if you're a Web3 organization like an Arbitrum, Optimism, Solana, any of the really cool foundations out there looking to launch their own dedicated podcast channel, we've got you covered. We recently launched a podcast for Zero Gravity. Their podcast is completely focused on decentralized AI. So all different topics in that space. So completely done for them. They are now producing 4 episodes a month with top-tier guests, boosting their business development and solidifying themselves as an authority in the AI space. Team take care of everything, booking the guests, crafting the questions, to helping with the distribution. So if you want to get 4 to 6 qualified meetings every single month to boost your business development pipeline and control the narrative around your project, reach out to us at Jax Dwyer, JaxDwyer, almost forgot how to spell my own name there, .com, and book in a free strategy session. Check the link in the description. And now back to the show. So let's talk a little bit about, where did you guys choose to build this? I believe it was Polygon, but I could be mistaken on that. Talk to us a little bit about that decision.
Yeah, we started building on Polygon. I mean, at this point, 2.5 years ago, we, I would say, are a largely EVM aligned team. Certainly not backsies, but believe a lot in sort of the original. There's an ethos around, I think, the EVM culture that is a little bit different, where I think of all of the smart contract chains and places that people are trying to build the next generation of Web3 tech, probably the most, I don't want to say principled, but like the most rooted in the ideas of decentralization. Whereas I do think a lot of the other chains have, modern chains have kind of come from the mindset of like technical optimization and that sort of thing. So we're very EVM aligned. Obviously, the Polygon team has some of the best developers and best technology just in terms of nuts and bolts that's out there, and one of the largest chains by adoption. So we've always had a great time building on Polygon. Supported everywhere, on whether it's governance to exchanges, things like that. It's been a great place.
Now let's talk about some of the challenges you guys have faced while building this product. I'm sure it hasn't come all particularly easy. Do you find most of the challenges are in technical challenges, user adoption, BD? Like where do you feel most of your challenges have come from, and what you guys do to mitigate it?
There's always challenges on all sides. I think the number one thing that jumps to mind is hardware. Hardware's hard. And, obviously many DePIN companies face the hardware element. Although some DePIN is really just networking existing hardware, like many of the GPU style projects. We've worked with our hardware companies to make hardware. That's tough. There are delays. There's supply chain issues that hit us early on. That adds a lot of complexity because it's just a lot more in the tech stack that you need to manage. And so much of crypto, like we kind of picked all the hardest things. It's like we're building hardware, we're connecting cars, we built straight into a mobile app. So much of crypto is used to this like one-click browser, wallet, dApp infrastructure. And like, why does it take so long for Dimo to build stuff? It's like we're doing all the hard things. If we were building a one-click browser app, like that would be it'd be a different story. So that's always been one of the challenges that we face, and I have our V3 hardware coming out pretty soon. So we're really excited about that. It's been years and years of effort. And then on the growth side, I think you see every kind of crypto project. I mean, the holy grail of any crypto project, I think today in the last couple of years has become, how do we get out of crypto? How do we get non-crypto people to adopt what we are building? And that is a challenge. You typically, if you're like Dimo and many other projects are, you've started in the crypto space and you get a lot of early adopters through that. They come in booms and busts. They come in waves because, when the markets are down, the growth slows down. And when, the markets are doing well, you get tons of users. But ultimately, your goal is to get away from that cyclicality and to get into the mainstream. This wasn't even really a consideration up until the last couple of years when the wallet infrastructure has really, really, really improved. So we're building new wallet infrastructure into the Dimo app that's going to allow us to provide a clean onboarding experience where you won't even feel or notice the crypto as you get onboarded. And that's been really important for us. I mean, ultimately, we do feel like that has probably slowed growth down for us and many other projects that are finally building products that users in the mainstream would actually care about and pick up. So we're really excited to reach that milestone. It's only 2 months away, maybe less, and we'll be shipping our brand new onboarding.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned, getting away from crypto. It's, although we're all crypto enthusiasts here, obviously on the pod, it's that like my mom doesn't go to a website and she's like, hey, I love this website because it uses MongoDB, like all of this, like doctrinaire
Exactly.
stuff around databases and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I think it's, it's just, I like people don't want to really, most people don't want to think much about the technology. They want to go to Netflix and get the movie. They're not thinking about like, how is Netflix actually streaming this? And we're finally reaching that point in crypto where I think we'll see, especially in 2025, a breakout year for consumer apps where, I mean, take a look at Poly Market. Love the product. Considered a breakout product for the crypto space. And I'm sure they've managed to get a bunch of people in there, but like, it's a pretty crypto heavy experience. You're signing transactions, you have to really understand what's going on in there. And, compare that to obviously other betting sites. There's still a gap to be closed.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Speaking about betting, is I had heard this theory that now that sports gambling was legalized, that you wouldn't see as much of a bull run in the crypto markets because at least some of that is displaced interest from like not being able
Yeah,
to
see
sports
that
gamble in
like
the
proved
past.
out in studies. There was
Is
a
it that?
study
Ah, I didn't even
circulating
know
on
that.
Twitter. Yeah, if I find it, I'll send it to you. There was a study circulating on Twitter. I forget the numbers, so I don't want to like totally botch them, but like they proved that investments are down since this shit has been legalized.
Wow.
Like visible. And I honestly, look, I read that like abstract in the tweet about it, but like, it was like one of those, this is pretty conclusive. We see this in the people are investing in this.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. And then like marketing wise, business development wise, what are you guys doing to kind of get the word out and try to get like, for lack of a better term, the normies involved?
Um, so when it comes to acquiring drivers and building up the number of people using our mobile app, a lot of what we're focused on is, there's a couple key areas. So one, partnerships. I mean, a lot of what Dimo is all about is how you can use your data and put it to work. And again, I think this is one of the missing pieces with most people's car app experiences. Toyota gives me a little app. I can look at a little data, but I can't do anything with it. And so in our app, you can go and book maintenance and shop for insurance and do all these things. So partnerships are a key angle. We're of course working through a lot of pretty traditional marketing channels, affiliates and influencers, working on paid ads and things like that. These are just all kind of, pretty conventional things. Obviously we do a lot of our own content and want to reach early adopters through those means. Um, on the side of like reaching developers and automotive businesses, we've been lucky that there's been a lot of organic interest and we've had a network of people that have been able to introduce us to potential partners. We're starting to do more. So come October and November, I'm going to go to like 3 or 4 automotive and we'll show up and you're not going to see anything about blockchain on our booth, but, we will have a stand and talk to people in the connected vehicle space about a lot of their issues, which is how do you enable better engagement through the mobile experiences that are being built in the auto space? How do you better protect user privacy? Because that's been a conversation in the auto space. And we have the technology that allows them to do this in a really easy and a really trusted way. So we will continue to kind of push into the space through, I would call it fairly, conventional means. But if you execute on them well and do them at a high level, they bring you returns.
Yeah, that makes complete sense going to the conferences. Interesting. Are you guys running ads? Because I know for some crypto companies they have difficulties with like running meta ads because of kind of restricted industries.
We run some. It is definitely hard. You have to kind of jump through some hoops, and a lot of it depends on like what kind of business you are. Exchanges in particular it's almost impossible to run ads. But if you offer some other services alongside that, you can I don't want to say get around the regulations. You're not really getting around them. You can check the box.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Now, talk to us a little bit about like some of the partnerships you guys have and things you're really planning on releasing soon, like what things the community can look forward to.
Yeah. There's a couple of like really cool partnerships that we're not yet ready to announce that I'll bite my tongue on. Most recently we announced this partnership with Tesla, and it by no means was this like, are we the only startup to have access to their developer platform? But we're one of a pretty small group that's building on that platform, and it's pretty exciting for us. We are excited about launching really any kind of marketplace partner. So most recently, we launched a company called Goodhood. They allow you to either book maintenance that'll come to your home, or you can call a maintenance hotline, share your data, and do these sorts of things that streamline kind of owning your data a little bit. One I'm really excited about is a company called Carvis. They are building an AI car mechanic. So they have ingested tons of information, of course, about service manuals and vehicles. And the key thing that any AI needs, and we talk about this and we talk about LLMs and all of the AI stuff that we've discussed, is they get so much better when they can get trained on your data. So if you can share a continuous data stream privately to something like Carvis, you're effectively training a mechanic exclusively on your car's data. And so you have this unbelievable, effect of compounding the intelligence of this AI agent by giving it direct access to all your vehicle data. So Carvis will be launching in the next couple of months. They're finishing up a fundraise, and they're also waiting on a few pieces from us. And we have a whole bunch of other like really exciting automotive partnerships that we're pumped to bring to market. But it really all comes down to how do we give our users more ways to get on board to Dimo and give them more things to do once they.
Absolutely. And for people that are really interested, where can they go to learn more? I know you have some partnerships that you will be announcing, probably in the coming months that people can look forward to. So tell them where they can find you online, where they can kind of just get on the stream.
They can find us on Twitter, X, Dimo_network. And they can go check us out on Dimo.co.
And where can they connect with you personally?
You can find me. I'm Alex Srawitz on Twitter, and I would go there and give me a follow.
Awesome. Well, everyone go follow Alex, go follow Dimo, because it seems like they've got some exciting things in the pipeline. And if you're listening this far, you must really either like me or Alex or possibly both of us. So give us 5 stars and let's get back to building the future of Web3.